Welcome to NFL Total Access. My name is MJ Acosta-Ruiz, and if you look closely at the NFL clock, you'll see exactly what time it is. It's Tebow time once again. After weeks of speculation, the 33-year-old, who hasn't played a snap of NFL football in 9 years, officially signed with the Jacksonville Jags as a tight end. Tebow's return generating a ton of buzz, ranging from excitement to skepticism to criticism. Is he taking a roster spot from a more deserving player? Is he a player or just a leader? And is this a reminder of Urban Meyer's genius or his inexperience as an NFL coach? Lots to unpack here. The Jaguars officially announced Tebow's reunion with his college coach. Tebow writing in his statement, quote, "I know it will be a challenge, but it is a challenge I embrace." All right. Mike Garafolo joins us now. So we know the ink's still drying here. Mike, what are the details on this deal between Tebow and the Jaguars?
Can't believe we're talking about this. But we are, MJ. We are talking about Tim Tebow, a Jacksonville Jaguar at the tight end position. My understanding is day one was about as normal as it could be for a person with Tim Tebow's, and I hate to use this word, but baggage, because he comes with a lot of stuff and a lot of attention and all this stuff. But my understanding was it was relatively normal. It was like, hey, there's that new tight end we signed, and he's going to go out and do some work on the field. And they're really not doing a lot of work right now. Now, they are going to open their workouts at some point in the near future. I believe next week they're going to have one that's open to the media. So, yeah, I'd expect to see a lot of cameras and media there. But Tebow may not talk. They may take an approach here where he may not say a whole lot and just go about his business on a day-to-day basis. Now, of course, I say that, and then you say, but if I log on to the Jaguars Pro Shop, there's Tebow's jersey, front and center, number 85. In fact, it's blocking Trevor Lawrence. Well, take that up with Michael Rubin, because that's a Fanatics operation. That is not a team operation. They're the one. You can see it up in the upper left-hand corner. They're driving that one. The Jaguars going to try to play this one cool. We shall see.
That is prominent placement, Mike, on that ad. I know it's not the Jaguars' function, but I'm just saying it's front and center there for all to possibly start shopping. All right, Mike Garafolo, don't go too far, though. We're checking back in with you in just a little bit. All right, let's get our guys in here. D'Angelo Hall, Andrew Hawkins, they're joining me now. I mean, what's your reaction to Jags head coach Urban Meyer signing Tim Tebow? D. Hall, why don't you start us off here?
Well, you know, I can't help but laugh and smile. And, you know, as a guy who played 14 years in the National Football League, to think about a guy of Tim Tebow's stature walking into a locker room that I'm a part of, you know, like Garafolo said, with the baggage that kind of comes with him. I mean, I'm terribly frustrated with the organization if I'm a player in that locker room, because there's so many other guys who work so hard for the opportunity. Tim Tebow, he was a really, really great leader. And you just don't make football teams with your leadership skills. At the end of the day, there's going to be a 270-pound, 60-pound defensive end, outside linebacker, burling down at your quarterback. And I don't trust Tim Tebow blocking that guy. Just the inexperience, you know, I think is a hell of a hill for him to have to climb to try to figure this out at this point, having been out of football for 8 years or so. I can't wait to see this thing unfold. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one to stand up here and say, hey, guys, I was wrong. But I just don't see that happening.
My reaction is, what are we doing here? That would be my question. I don't fault Tim Tebow. If my good friend of 15 years became the GM of the Lakers and wanted to sign me to a contract, I go play for the Lakers too. But the reality is, Tim hasn't played football in the NFL for 8 years. This is not a project situation. If this was 2014, it would make sense to me. And then other people are saying, oh, he's a great leader, he's a motivator. Listen, if you say that, you have no idea what an NFL locker room is like. And that includes Urban Meyer, if that's what his thought process is. This isn't college football. These aren't 18-year-old impressionable players. These are grown men who have a job to do, and don't get motivated by rah-rah speeches. These guys are here to feed their families and get a paycheck. That's what this is about. Winning a championship is all the motivation that NFL athletes need.
All right, guys, but is Tebow a long shot to make this Jags roster, D-Hall?
Yeah, very, very long shot. I don't see that happening.
I mean, I think Tebow is super athletic, but he's 33 years old. There is no such thing in the NFL as a 33-year-old project. Okay, those are reserved for the young guys, unfortunately.
All right, for everybody at home, what were you doing in 2012? Yeah, that's the last time Tim Tebow played in the NFL, just for reference there. All right, guys, thanks. And we go from a contender to the reigning MVP. Yes, Aaron Rodgers' watch continues as we're no closer to a statement or a decision out of Green Bay when it comes to their QB. But we do have the perspective of a Hall of Famer as Peyton Manning gave his thoughts on Rodgers to TMZ. So Manning said, quote, "When I think of Aaron, I think of him as a Green Bay Packer, same as Brett Favre. Hopefully they can get it worked out. I look forward to seeing him play somewhere." All right, Mike Garafolo, back with me here. What is the latest on Aaron Rodgers and this standoff with the Packers?
MJ's checked in with a few sources involved today. One of them actually answered the phone and said, "There's nothing new to report." I said, okay, I guess that's kind of where we are. Now, that being said, my sense is from having these conversations today that it's not really a standoff. It's not like it's an icy situation where the sides aren't in communication. There has been communication between the sides as they try to work toward a resolution. And for the Packers, that resolution is Aaron Rodgers as our starting quarterback this year and perhaps beyond. We've talked about how they've had contract negotiations. Perhaps something to that end, if they can find a resolution, would show Rodgers that they are committed to him for 2021 and beyond. At times it looked like it was close, and it might get to that point. But once things came out right around draft time, that really sent this thing into a tailspin. We'll see where it goes from here, MJ, but nothing new, nothing imminent right now.
I love that somebody answered the phone, though, and at least gave you a little something. Mike Garafolo, thank you.
Always good.
Yes. All right, let's bring the guys back. And special guest appearance, Mike Silver joining D. Hall and Hawk as well here. All right, guys, listen, we're closing in on, almost a month of this situation. Mike, I'll start with you. I mean, what's going on here? The standoff doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
Yeah, and I don't think they necessarily know in that building because so much of it has to do with how dug in Aaron Rodgers is and what he's thinking. And they could throw money at the problem in theory, the Packers, and do a contract that would reduce their cap hit, give him more money, and tie him to them for longer. But the fact that that hasn't gotten done to this point is not super encouraging. One thing I'm told that has happened is there's a little bit better communication inside that building. It's a place where personnel and coaches aren't necessarily always aligned, or coaches aren't even in the loop on big decisions. There have been some frank conversations. The communication has been much more direct and brutally honest, and I think they're working toward a situation where there's a better convergence of thought between those two sides. So that's semi-promising, but if your quarterback all of a sudden is not Aaron Rodgers when the season starts, doesn't matter who's communicating with who, the preeminent communication is going to be, oh no.
Yeah, and Silver, you talk about brutal honesty. I mean, how brutally honest can you be when you say, hey, we're going to move up, not tell you about it, and go draft your replacement? And so if I'm Aaron Rodgers, absolutely, I'm pissed. I'm holding that against them. And then I go and have an MVP caliber season. And so, you're right. I thought this was about money, and Aaron Rodgers could go ahead and get paid, get secured, get locked up. But obviously, his feathers have been ruffled, and so he doesn't want to be a part of that football team. And so I would just love to have Aaron Rodgers come out and say that publicly so we can go ahead and be his biggest advocate and get him up out of Green Bay. Because you think about the kind of player that Aaron Rodgers is, how he plays the game, how athletic he still is at the age that he's playing at. And this dude makes any football team he joins an instant Super Bowl contender. And so if I'm Green Bay, I don't know how the communication was so bad from the jump that you wouldn't have thought drafting a quarterback and not telling Aaron Rodgers, your leader, a guy who's been synonymous with Green Bay football since Brett Favre, how you not tell him.
My grandmother told me when I was a kid, telling me about relationship advice, she said, you lose them, how you get them. Okay, so this should not be a surprise to Aaron Rodgers. He's gone through this before. He's seen the same thing happen with Brett Favre. If you look at their records, when they both drafted first-round quarterbacks from Jordan Love to Aaron Rodgers, both he and Brett almost had the exact same record. The difference is Aaron Rodgers produced an MVP season and upped his value, his leverage, and his attractiveness around the league, and he's trying to cash in on that now. My biggest question would be, what does this mean for the other guys in the locker room? What are the Devontae Adams and the other receivers and players who have contracts coming in that are questioning, if Aaron Rodgers isn't here, do I still want to be a Green Bay Packer? There's going to be a trickle-down effect in that locker room that the Packers need to be ready for.
Not just that, guys. One of the bigger questions is, when are we going to hear from Aaron? I don't think that's going to happen until it's either a wrap or there's a bow on it. All right, guys. Thank you. All right, elsewhere in the NFC, the Falcons, they need to create some cap space, and there's a lot of speculation about trading wide receiver Julio Jones. But Jones's cap number isn't the only big one that the team could address. Defensive tackle Grady Jarrett has a $20.8 million cap hit for this season. For now, though, Jarrett says, hey, just call my agent. He's focused on his role in the locker room.
As far as leadership role goes, always want to grow and develop my skills as a leader and learn where I can be better. And first, be the example, putting the work in and day out, and, not asking anything of anybody that I'm not willing to do myself.
All right, so as we pontificate on what the Falcons will do about that cap hit, here's a little reminder on the impact of Julio Jones. Since 2011, he ranks first in receiving yards with just shy of 12,900, and he runs second in targets and reception. All right, fellas, can the Falcons have success in 2021 without Julio Jones? Hawk, lead us off here.
I think they can. I don't think there's such a huge drop-off when Julio leaves that the Falcons' ceiling would be so much higher with him. I think they can get a great trade for him. He's a 32-year-old receiver. I think Julio Jones is obviously the best wide receiver of our generation, but look how Calvin Ridley came on a year ago. That guy is primed to be a number one, and I think they have enough there, if they add a couple pieces to him, that he can man the ship until they really find the rhythm as a football team.
Hawk, I don't agree with you, man. I just know what Julio brings to a football team. When he's healthy, he is still an elite receiver. And notice I said when he's healthy, because he hasn't been healthy. That's why the Falcons have had such great draft picks over the last couple of years, because Julio Jones hasn't been a part of this offense. But when he's out there, he single-handedly dictates coverage. He helps Matt Ryan so much, because Matt comes out there and he knows there's two guys on Julio. Where's the matchup? And a lot of the times, it is Calvin Ridley who's taking advantage of those one-on-ones. This is an old Falcons team with a lot of money tied up in some veteran players. And so it's going to be interesting to kind of see where the ball lands. But I don't think they have a chance in hell of being successful without Julio Jones, Kyle Pitts, and Calvin Ridley out there on the football field at the same time.
As I often do in my own life, I'm not going to think about the budget. I'm just going to be greedy for 1 second. All I ask, can we just have one season with both Kyle Pitts and Julio Jones out there for Matty Ice? That's it. We deserve this. We do. All right, guys.
We're down and going for it all the end zone. Caleb Farley moves disruptive for the Hokies. Whips it down the field and off the pads of the intended receiver. Cuts it loose, looking for Gordon and intercepted. Caleb Farley taking a shot deep into the end zone. Picked off again. Graham throwing from his end zone. It's intercepted. Caleb Farley thinking 6. Touchdown for that Bud Foster defense.
So as we're looking at numbers here, when you look at the FBS cornerbacks in 2019, the lowest passer rating allowed, that would be Caleb Farley right there at the top of that list. And it's because he has the right mentality. Which mentality specifically? The Mamba mentality. What really caught my eye was the caption here, free smoke, and whoever thinks they routes like that. I love that. That's how you get ready to enter the NFL. Welcome into Caleb Farley. D'Angelo Hall would not miss this interview for the world. Now listen, Caleb, we love, obviously, our Hokie corners here at NFL Total Access. What's it like following in Big Brother D Hall's footsteps here?
I mean, it's everything coming from a program that's had so many great DBs and guys to kind of set the example and look up to, and not only that, but set the standard high. When I first transitioned to corner at Virginia Tech, I kind of knew what was expected from the fan base and from the coaching staff. So to have that type of role model to look up to, it's extremely encouraging and motivating.
Well, tremendously honored to even be held in such high regard, Caleb. But back to you, man. Two back surgeries, man. How are you feeling, man? Let the Titan fans know how you're feeling and the rest of your fans watching. How are you doing right now?
And I feel great. I come in and get it in, every day. We working hard and moving toward the season, and everything looks, great. Better than good, great.
Caleb, D. Hall mentioned there your back surgeries. You have been through quite a bit of adversity, my friend. Your NFL draft dreams, they became a reality with the Titans. 22nd pick in that first round. How emotional was that moment for you?
It was kind of like a surreal feeling. I was extremely grateful, extremely thankful. Just to have my family there too, outside, waiting to greet me when I walked out. I can remember feeling extremely thankful. Also, I want to get on the field. I'm dying to get on the field, so I was extremely motivated and just wanted to fly out to Tennessee the next day and start getting to work and rehabbing and working out and learning the playbook. That's all I could think about.
Well, Caleb, people out there don't know, but I've known you for a while, and obviously we have a special relationship. Tell the guys at home, what does it mean to play for a coach like Mike Vrabel? I know everyone thought you were going to be a top 10 draft pick, even myself. Those surgeries kind of pushed you down a little bit, but we were talking before this interview started. Might not have been, the first team that you wanted to go to from a standpoint of being a top 10 pick, but just talk about Tennessee being the perfect spot for you, and just like I said, hooking up with Coach Vrabel.
Yeah, I feel completely at home here. I'm extremely happy to have landed where I've landed, and already my interactions with Coach Vrabel up to this point has been great. I'm willing to do whatever for the guys. So, we have an inside joke already. He kind of picks at me, every day now. So he's hilarious, but it's awesome playing for a coach that's a player's coach, and who also has had a great NFL career. He has a lot of knowledge and wisdom, and I can't wait to suit it up and go out there and play for him.
Hey, Caleb, I hear that you have a little memento from D. Hall. What is it?
Yeah, actually, I was at a track meet when I was younger. I'll never forget it. I think I was like 8 or 9 years old. I don't even know why you was there, but I had seen D Hall there in the corner, and my eyes just lit up, and I ran up to him, and I had one of my medals that I got from the meet, and I just was asking him to sign it and all of that, which he did. I think I ran back and forth with to my father in the stands, and it was asked for 3-4 things to get signed, pictures and all that. But yeah, I've had that medal hanging up in my room through middle school ball, high school ball, all those things. I kind of thought it was funny because I was one of the first people to know he was going to change his number to 23. So that's what I got on the back of the medal, D Hall 23. So it's cool.
Oh, man, that's super dope, Caleb. And look, now you're part of that brotherhood, man. We're going to be expecting you to be putting on camps, giving back to your community, and doing the same thing, man. Thank you for joining myself and MJ, man. We'll be fans. We'll be tuning in to watch you tear it up down there in Tennessee.
All right, thank you.
In 16 of the last 18 seasons, at least one NFL team went from worst to first in their division. And many believe the insight into the skills, responsibilities, and objectives of the leaders in the NFL. Now, Session 1 was hosted by Chris Collinsworth and featured Bucs assistant defensive line coach Lori Locust. Now, Coach Lowe was on Good Morning Football today to talk about Todd Bowles' defensive schemes.
The defensive schemes that Coach Bowles comes up with are second to none. I've, obviously have limited experience in regards to, this level, but I've never been around someone who can pick apart an offense the way that he does and scheme for it. And then let's be clear, it's not my room, it's Coach Rogers' room. And, my goodness, what a gift it's been to be his assistant and just be able to be mentored by him.
Yeah, you know who else was pretty good in a Buccaneers uniform? That would be 49ers GM and Hall of Famer John Lynch. Let's take a look back at that moment when he got the knock for the haul.
What's up? Oh my gosh.
Hey, I think that's a knock you've been waiting for.
Are you serious, David?
I'm not allowed to hug you, but I'll hug you later, okay?
My gosh, this feels life-changing right now. So, that's unbelievable.
Love to see it. Now, in his career, John Lynch played 224 games, was a 9-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, and won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. He joined the Total Access, the Locker Room podcast this week. Here's a little taste of that conversation.
It starts up front. And so that's something from day one we tried to build here. It's why, when we already had Armstead and Buckner, we went and drafted Solly that high, and people can say what they want about the Solly pick. We thought, he could be a great addition to what, but the point is we just kept throwing resources up front. And I think that's to me, I remember Elway saying, one of those times in that draft room, Ernie Accorsi, I believe, had said it to him. It's an oversimplification, but you got to find that guy at the quarterback position, and you got to find the guys to knock them down. And that's a pretty simple roadmap to success in this league, and something I believe wholeheartedly. And defensively, it starts up front. But the cool thing about that defense is, the defense we have here, Robert Saleh brought it, and it's what Kyle wanted to. He always said playing against that gave him fits, and thought presented the most challenge, in part because it's simplicity. You can get really good at what you do because you don't try to do everything. But the great thing for me is, I was taught by Tony Dungy and Monty Kiffin in that Tampa 2 system, but Monty and Pete Carroll go way back. And so our system and this system have a lot of parallels. So my eyes could see it. I knew the run gaps the day Saleh came in here. I could say, okay, he's the A, he's the B, he's the C, and so even though they've kind of morphed into different directions, one was the cover 2, while other was the cover 3, they really are the same defense, and that's been a cool process.
For more insight with a locker room point of view, check out the latest episodes of the Total Access Locker Room podcast every Wednesday and Friday on Apple and Spotify. All right, guys, Z-Hall, Hawk, Mike Silver back with us here. Great hearing directly from John Lynch there, hoodie and all. It's a good look. Now, we know he's a straight shooter, obviously. Mike, I'll start with you on this. As we look at the return of a healthy roster for San Francisco, how do you see their defense in 2021? I mean, they did bring a lot of their guys back.
Well, MJ, they swallowed people up in 2019 with that pass rush led by then rookie Nick Bosa. And when he got hurt in week 2 last season, it kind of drained the energy out of everything. And I think they have a chance to get back to 2019 levels, assuming Bosa can come back and be what he was. And then it frees up Eric Armstead. It allows Javon Kinlaw to maybe become an emerging star on the inside. Fred Warner has more opportunities behind them. And it's a tall order, but I believe that they can be an elite defense again, led by Nick Bosa in 2021.
Yeah, Silver, you're absolutely right. When you think about how disruptive this defense was, and you heard John Lynch say, if you keep it simple and you just let guys go play fast, they have an opportunity to be comfortable and play as fast as humanly possible. And that's what that defense was always built on. I can remember times banging down my GM's door in the office trying to get pass rushes because Seattle showed you the blueprint back when Russ was young on his rookie contract. If we can just let these guys off the edge go hunt, it makes everyone's job easier. I can remember me and Richard Sherman having a Twitter beef about me having to cover for seconds while he's out there just, having a cup of tea, waiting for the ball to be thrown in the air. And so, I think you're absolutely right. This defense has an opportunity to be as dominant as they were last year. DeMeco Ryans will have a good pulse for what those guys are good at, and he's going to put them in position to do it.
Silver, you talked about that 2019 defense. It's not like they didn't deal with injuries. They just had tremendous depth as well. Every guy that stepped in did his job for sure. All right, so John Lynch has been making the media rounds. Here's what he had to say on the herd earlier this week.
And I think from day one, we've been very upfront with Jimmy. And, when I went to Jimmy, I told him the truth that, look, we have made a decision that we're going to pursue a quarterback this offseason. Jimmy when you've played, you've been tremendous, and the record speaks to that. We feel like there's room for growth, and we think it's a good situation for you. Probably not the one you ultimately want to hear. I'm sure you want to be the long-term guy. You know what? And there's a flip side to that. He still could be, because he's going to have a chance to compete and earn that job, and we're just going to let it play out.
I mean, like we said, he doesn't mince words. Silver, how do you think that the Niners front office has handled the whole Jimmy G, Trey Lance situation? They've been very transparent.
Yeah, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are straight shooters, and the thing they did that spoke loudest was trading 3 first-round picks for Jimmy Garoppolo's replacement. So you can say whatever you want. That's the deal. That said, Kyle Shanahan, if I believe his first inning, he followed that, Jimmy Garoppolo could already be traded. But because he ended up deciding Trey Lance is the guy at 3, well, that's a guy who might take a little bit of time to get out there. He's a very intelligent guy who I think will pick it up quickly, but he's raw. So I think if you're the 49ers now, your plan is go into the season with Jimmy Garoppolo, and if he's playing well and you're winning and he's healthy, 3 big ifs, you roll with them as long as you can in 2021.
Yeah, listen, I played with Kyle Shanahan in 2014. I know these guys well. One thing they do not do is sit on their hands. They're not worried about, creating long tenure where they're at. The only way they want to keep their job is by winning a Super Bowl. So them going to draft Trey Lance doesn't mean that Jimmy Garoppolo isn't a starting quarterback for somewhere long term. It just isn't where Kyle's is, because he thinks there's more left in the glass, and he's going to go find it. Now, the other part of that is they are straight shooters. Just like you mentioned, Mike, I was with them. If you're a player that plays under Kyle Shanahan, you know exactly where you stand. When you mess up, he tells you about it. When you are great, he tells you about that. He tells you exactly where he needs you to play. So them being upfront with Jimmy Garoppolo is always the best way to do it. And I'm actually surprised more coaches and general managers and organizations don't just keep it real with players, because we all understand this is business.
Yeah. We as players, we 100% understand that. And you spoke about Kyle Shanahan. I was on a team where he was on that staff as well. Definitely straight shooter, and I've talked to John Lynch on several occasions. That's what you want as a player. You want to know exactly where you stand. You don't want to be surprised like players are on occasion when they have no idea that it's coming, that they're getting cut or they're getting traded. And so for John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan to be upfront, that's what we as players want, because we understand Jimmy Garoppolo, he's probably his biggest critic. He understands what's at stake for his own career. And so when you know that, you as a player have an opportunity to go and fight for it. And that's all you ever want, is an opportunity to go fight for your position.
What do you guys say all the time? This is a grown man's game, right? Don't patronize these guys. They may not like what they're being told, but they'll respect it as long as you're honest. All right, guys. Thank you. Just 48 hours after our NFL insider Ian Rappaport reported that the Washington football team gave their offensive tackle Morgan Moses permission to seek a trade, they turned around and released him today. Moses was due $7.75 million this upcoming season. The quote, "Thank you for everything." A little yellow heart there. All right, elsewhere in the NFC East, the Eagles letting us know that Jalen Hurts is locked in. Quoting Hurts saying, "Rent is due every day. It's always been that way for me. I don't plan on missing no payment." Meanwhile, Miles Sanders is ready to get this offense going too.
You can see that with what we got going on right now, and I'm going to keep saying that I love what we have going on. And I'm pretty sure everybody can say the same. But I think if all of us stick in and lock in together, I think anything's possible. I think last year that's in the rearview mirror. We had a chance to still make the playoffs with the record we had, came up short, but all we remember is that we didn't make the playoffs. And that's going to make a whole bunch of players in Philly hungry, and I think that's dangerous.
It's almost impossible to believe that some NFL players will actually miss the brutal